Hi YouTube, welcome back to another knife review. Today I'll be reviewing the Kizer Megatherium. Before I show you the knife, I'll show you the packaging. It pretty much comes in the standard Kizer packaging, at least from what I've bought. They've all came in the same packaging, so nice box, with another box inside it, a pouch, don't think anything's in there, and a microfiber cleaning cloth. So you do get a lot added on for pretty cheap knives, around $200 to get really nice presentation. So I really like that. Kind of the way they include extra stuff like the microfiber cleaning cloth with their name on it, that's pretty cool. And now actually into the knife. There's a little dust in there because I've been carrying it for a few weeks now. Since I got this knife, I don't think I've carried another knife, so about 3 weeks of just carrying this, just to show how much I like it. There you can see the logo, or the name, Megatherium, and Isham logo. Then over here you have the Kizer logo, the blade steel, and the model number. A little bit of gunk or something in there near the pivot. So, into the specs, it has a 8.625 inch overall length with a 3.625 inch blade and a 5-inch handle. Blade thickness is pretty normal, 0.16. I think most Kizer knives probably come with that. And a 0.55 inch thick handle. Pretty average dimensions, nothing crazy, except that, I don't know what that length is right there, probably about 2 inches, maybe a little less. So it is a very tall knife, a wide in the pocket knife, but lengthwise, thickness-wise, not bad. And it weighs 5.43 ounces. Little heavy. So like you saw earlier from that number right there, it is S35 VN blade steel. Nice normal Kizer blade steel. Nicely stone washed. It's a Wharncliffe blade, flat ground, you can see, and a very big cutout in the blade, which I was really nervous about getting this knife because I always see that big cutout and that little tiny section, the cross section of that kind of cutout right there, or just the connection point up here, is really small. So I was worried about maybe flicking it open really hard, and a tempered blade maybe, since it gets more brittle, maybe just crack right there on that thin section. I've never heard of anything happening like that with this or any of the other knives that have that kind of big thumb cutout, or probably more of a design cutout. But I think the Booz Blades Arrow or something has a big cutout like that, and I've never heard of any problems, so I was worried about it, but seems to not be a big problem. It's got a nice decorative pivot, like some other Kizers do. A carbon fiber overlay on each side, nice and matching. Hardware to hold that on. I don't know exactly what type of carbon fiber that is. It's kind of weird looking. It's kind of like bidirectional carbon fiber. It's got little kind of pattern in it that kind of looks like G10. I don't know if it's G10 carbon fiber laminate, but whatever it is, it looks really cool. You can see the nice carbon fiber like sheen that it has. All the rest of the handle is titanium. Steel lock bar insert in there. Flipper tab hides away nice in the handle like that. That's really cool. I like when designers are able to make their designs kind of flow together well. this kind of rounded section on top, matching when it's open, flipper tab hiding away, and then it all kind of matching again closed. It's a really well thought out design. You can see there's the tip of the blade hidden way under there, so you can't reach it. And it's pretty deep down in there where you can't stick your finger down and touch the tip of touch the edge of the blade, so that's nice. Barrel spacers, so it's nice, clean flow through design. A really nice pocket clip. I really like it. It's really nicely rounded right there, you can see, so it slips really easily into the pocket and comes out nice. And it's really thinly ground inside there, so, or machined, so retention isn't bad. It is a very very useful design, and it's 3D machined. Nice touch added onto this knife. I think they're around $233 on Blade HQ, so not too bad. A little more than a lot of other Kizers, but still a nice normal price. It's got a very strong detent, flips nice. You can finger flick it or thumb flick it. Kind of takes a little time to figure out the thumb flick, but you can get it. I think the detent, as you can see, it's a little strong, so if you want to kind of roll it out a little slower, that might be a little harder, but you can kind of do it. It's definitely more fun to flick it, especially on bearings. It is very smooth. This is after carrying for a couple weeks with a bunch of pocket lint. I've never oiled it or taken it apart or adjusted anything on it. This is just how it came. And speaking of which, it is nice and centered. Might be hard to tell, but you can see that's pretty much perfect, I think. So I was pretty skeptical of this knife before I bought it. When I first saw it, I was kind of like, Elijah Isham, who designed this knife, a lot of his designs are kind of hit or miss for me. Some of them are a little more complicated than I would like. Really crazy, out there, fantasy looking knives, kind of like Browse blades, which he's done collaborations with now. They're kind of just fantasy, futuristic looking, and I don't really like that in knives. I kind of like the more plain, normal looking knives. But this one, after getting it, flipping it, feeling it and everything, it hasn't been knocked out of my pocket by any other knife since I bought it, so it's definitely changed. My opinion definitely changed right when I opened it up out of the package. I didn't know if I was going to like it. Usually when I buy a knife, I really, I watch reviews, I research into it, I make sure it's a good knife, I make sure the detent's nice and it flips well. It usually takes me a long time to finally actually decide on a knife that I want to buy, and this one I didn't really look into it too much. I didn't watch too many reviews. I probably watched a couple of them, but yeah, it definitely exceeded my expectations. The build quality is amazing. I haven't noticed any flaw in it really, I don't think. I think maybe right here you can see that little connection where that tip of titanium comes out, where that overlay is. There is a little point you can kind of feel the titanium. It's not sharp. It's not really a big deal, but just in terms of like fit and finish for like custom quality, it's obviously not there because it's not a custom. It's not a maker working hours and hours to make the inlays fit. It's a production company, and I think they did a really good job. You can kind of see maybe a little gap right there. Nothing crazy. It's not like a seamless joining where you can't even tell the material changes, but they definitely did a good job with that overlay. The hardware doesn't bother me. Holding it on, I don't think it ruins the design or the look, especially not for a production company to be doing that. Makes sense. I like that hardware. A bigger screw right there, probably easier to take out. I really like the pivot screws. Flipper tab, it's a nice shape. It works well. No jimping or anything, just kind of a big pointed flipper tab. But as you can see, it flips it right out. As I said, it's got a nice strong detent, so you don't really misfire at all on it. Check the lockup. Probably around 40% maybe, less than 50%, so nice lockup. That's probably about where it came. I don't think it moved at all, and I don't expect it to really move. 2 screws to hold the pocket clip on, 2 screws to hold the lock bar insert in, and it's got a over travel stop built in to that lock bar insert. I really like the machining of all these different angles in the handle. And like I said earlier about not really liking fantasy designs and kind of these more out there crazy designs, I think Elijah Isham's a really talented designer, and a lot of the new knives that he's coming out with, I believe one maybe with Wee Knives, or maybe Riot, and then another one with Kizer, the Theta and the Zeta, I don't know which company's making which, but those are really kind of dialed back designs, kind of just a simple titanium frame block, no crazy angles, no crazy scalloping or anything, kind of a really cool angular design, a triangle cut out in the blade on one of them. So those are really cool. Definitely check those out if you're not really into these fantasy kind of designs. And then there's also the Eschaton made by Wee Knives, which is the craziest, most out there design I think that he's had made, which is just crazy angles, machining in the blade and the handle. So check that out if you are more into that. And definitely watch him because he's a young guy and he's coming out with a lot more designs that are being picked up by custom makers, production knife companies, pretty much everything. Also the name right there, Megatherium, I looked it up because I didn't know what it meant. I didn't know if it was a real word or if it had like a scientific meaning, and some of you might know this, but apparently it is the name of a giant extinct sloth, I think in Southern America, something like that. So pretty much just a giant sloth, but a really cool name. I think it said on Wikipedia it means giant beast, so fits this knife name well, or that name fits this knife well. With your hand in the handle, you're really out of the way of the blade, so you can really get down and touch whatever you're cutting. It's not a normal knife design where you're holding the handle and the blade's coming out kind of parallel with it. The handle kind of cants downward, so it's definitely got a different feel compared to normal knives. I'll bring in a couple other Kizers so you can check the difference out. So these two knives, as you can see, are a lot more plain. This one's just titanium handles, titanium backspace, or yeah, titanium handle scales with holes in them and a backspacer. Standoffs, titanium handles, nothing crazy. This one has all the angles, it has the overlay, the extra hardware, the big cutout in the blade, so a lot more work went into this knife, it looks like, and that's why I'd assume it costs more money. It also has a better detent. This Kizer is just a thumb stud folder, so doesn't need a crazy detent. This has a pretty weak detent. This is the Christensen Knives Critical, but as you can see, it's very easy to misfire this knife. The lock bar tension is a little stronger, so it feels a little different. Just completely different feeling knives. And this one's a lot smoother, so definitely build quality is amazing, nothing wrong with it, nothing I could find wrong with it. Definitely check it out. Check out his other knives, his other designs, the new one coming out with Kizer, and that's pretty much all I have to say about it. Check out the other videos on my channel, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.